The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawks. We are Wisconsin.
Welcome to a special edition of Brewers Live from Miller Park here in Milwaukee. It's our batting practice show on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Great day for baseball. The Brewers are going to meet the Mariners a little later on tonight. One of the greatest hitters of all time, the home run Hank Aaron statue outside of Miller Park. One of the greatest careers by a Brewer ever, if not the Robin Yount, his statue outside as well. And we welcome you inside. It's a perfect summer afternoon for baseball for our Brewers Live batting practice show. There's the cage that is in place here at all baseball stadiums as we welcome you in. We've got a very special next 60 minutes for you here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. I'm Craig Kashan as we welcome you aboard, everybody. Got a big night for baseball here. We've got our batting practice show here. And then at 6:30, of course, Brewers Live getting you set for today's baseball game at 7 o'clock. Interleague play between the Mariners and the Brewers. Now, what are we doing here at 4:30? It's batting practice. It's a rare opportunity for you to watch the home team during batting practice. A lot of times the gates are already closed when the home team Brewers are taking their preparation workouts at the batting cage. And so we're going to give you an inside look, an exclusive inside look. We're going to talk to some of the players and coaches as well all over the next hour here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. I'm going to welcome in my partner, Bill Schroeder, now, who's going to be with me during the next 60 minutes. Rock's got his bat.
Yeah, this is great.
You're ready to go, brother. I mean, how many times, how many opportunities have you had to come out here and do that batting practice through your career, and how times have changed over the years?
Batting practice is the way these guys get ready. I know there's a lot that goes on before the game, under the stadium, but it's one of those things where the guys need batting practice on the field so they can see the trajectory of the baseball. The coaches get involved. The guys have a good time. They goof around. They just have a good time, and it's a way for the guys to have a little bit of camaraderie and get ready for the game. And, the visiting team comes out after the home team, and you can see what's going on here. The pitchers are going through a little PFP, pitchers fielding practice. And, they're working on, fielding bunts and throwing to first base.
And you could see everybody, all Brewers during batting practice today, dressed in white T-shirts. The voting for the final push to the All-Star starters is underway right now. Of course, Yasmani Grandal, Mike Moustakas, and Christian Yelich are in line to potentially move on to the starters role. So you can go to brewers.com/vote and vote for them. So just a few moments ago, the pitchers did have some infield work along with the players. And this doesn't go on, Rock, every single day, but this is to sharpen your skills and make sure you're ready for work.
And a lot of times, what they work on is something that they didn't do very well a couple of nights before. Remember, Zach Davies threw one away in yesterday's ball game, a kind of a dribbler in front. He had an opportunity to make a play at first base, wasn't able to do it. So then working on this play right here, and let it go half motion. There's times when they work on cutoffs and relays. They work on covering first base, throwing to second base. But it's an opportunity to kind of just refresh, what these guys do on a daily basis out there in the field. Kind of emulate what goes on in the field. You can see they're not really busting it a whole lot, just kind of going through the motions. These are the things that they work on just about every day in spring training.
And it's starting pitchers, all relief pitchers. It is all pitchers involved, right down to Josh Hader, your closer. Everyone's got to be involved in this.
Right. And again, I mean, you kind of lose sight of the fact that as the season goes on and we're inching toward the latter part of June, sometimes these guys forget about the fundamentals, and it's just one of those things. I mean, you see coaches are talking, they're going through, this is what to anticipate, this is what we're doing here. You see Pat Murphy, Mike Moustakas getting involved because, he at third base, at second base, actively involved in plays like that. So as much as you think, and I think that, the joke amongst, baseball players is, pitchers are non-athletes. That's not the case. I do not condone that type of talk. But, again, they have to be able to field their position, and that's what they work on.
Yeah, for sure. And Pat Murphy's probably telling a joke or two just to keep them loose. But this is what part of batting practice is, too. There's that camaraderie that you guys who played the game say you always miss. and it's part of this hour that goes on before the game out here actually on the field.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, everybody misses the competition. You know, once the game starts, I mean, everybody really has that burn in their belly when that game begins, and it's one of those things where, you know, when you get done playing, you don't miss that as much, I don't think, as time goes on. But what you do miss is the antics that go on in the clubhouse. You know, stuff in batting practice. Guys get on each other pretty good. You know, they have a little home run derby every now and again. The coaches are getting on guys. So it's one of those things. You can't be serious 24/7 in this game. There's just too many games. I mean, a game every single day. So you got to loosen up. You got to lighten up and have a little bit of fun. But when these guys are in a batting cage, you know, everybody else is having a good time, you know, joking around. But when they're in that batting cage, they're serious. They're working on things.
And they also have a chance to catch up with old teammates. There's Domingo Santana, of course, who spent a few seasons with the Brewers and was a clubhouse favorite. And this is what happens, though, when you change teams. You don't lose the friendships, and you get out there as often as you can in the rare times that you're playing each other.
Well, and you can't do this, you know, once the game starts. I mean, guys will, you know, pat each other on the back. You know, Domingo Santana's at second base, but these are the opportunities, you know, that you have when you have an old teammate that's coming into your ballpark, or you go to a ballpark, you know, where you see a guy that used to play for you. This is where you kind of catch up. These guys see a lot of each other in the offseason. You know, they play winter ball together, but opportunities, you know, just to kind of hang out and talk to Domingo, see how things are going with he and his family, and you know, before things get too serious.
Now, let me ask you this. We talked a little bit about the times when you were a player going through BP, but over the years, and especially the last few years, tell everybody how much more involved video is, making sure you've got your proper scouting on opposing pitchers, and how much time guys put in that don't go into what's happening for this hour on the field.
Well, so again, I mean, they started about 4:40, and you know what happens is these guys come into the ballpark, they'll get dressed, they won't put their uniform on, they get a pair of shorts or put a T-shirt on, some flip-flops, and they'll go into the video room and they'll kind of look at their at-bats the night before, or you know, they'll sit down with Andy Haynes or Jason Lane, the assistant hitting coach, and they'll go through at-bats and they'll talk about what's going good, what's not going so well, and every now and again, and very often, you go into the clubhouse, and what you see on the monitors, on the televisions throughout the clubhouse, is the pitcher that particular night that they're going to be facing. You're going to see one pitch after another. So as you're sitting in your locker, you're going to be able to look at those monitors, and they're going to give you a sense. It's going to give you a sense of what this guy's throwing. I mean, curveballs, sliders, what he likes to do in certain counts. And then all of a sudden now these guys go into the video room, and now they're going into the scouting report part of it. So what will happen is after batting practice today, they'll go in after they hit. Andy Haynes will have a little bit of a meeting, and he'll talk about what Caracidi, who's going to be the opener today, he's going to be starting for the Seattle Mariners, what this guy's tendency is. How hard is his fastball? What kind of a breaking ball does he throw? What does he like to throw when he's behind in the count? What does he throw when he's ahead in the count? Those types of things, so these guys are prepared, you know, when the game starts.
I'm looking at you and just glancing over your shoulder into the dugout. Craig Counsell meets with the media. We called a pregame meeting with the media every day as well, and that usually happens just before batting practice starts. So he answers all the questions, does his interview with Bob Uecker, Jeff Levering on the radio side, and Sophia. So they're all there. There's a look. Craig Counsell's in the middle of that. We call that the media scrum sometimes, but that goes on here too. Players do interviews out here as well before they actually start hitting. But you're right, Rock. Once they start hitting, it's all business. They don't want to do the interviews. They don't want to talk to outside influences or whatever. They're here to do some work.
Yeah, and we're going to get some inside, up close and personal. I mean, we're going to have an opportunity to see some of these guys talk to a player, talk to a coach. After, I hope Moustakas is going to come over. We'll talk to him about what he tries to accomplish in batting practice. This is the second batting practice that a lot of these guys are going to have. They hit under the stadium in the cages, before they come out here. These guys show up, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not one of those jobs where I think a lot of fans think that they show up about 4 o'clock, they throw their uniform on, and they start getting ready. These guys are here well in advance of what they're doing right now, getting ready, different things, maybe going into the training room and getting some treatment. You know, if you're Moustakas, you got that problem with your ring finger on your throwing hand, you get some treatment in the clubhouse. Ryan Braun's always getting his back worked on. So, you know, these guys get to the ballpark early, and they stay late, and there's a lot of things that go on after the game as well. So it's not just the 3.5 or so hours of the game that these guys are sitting around for.
They have a longer schedule than we do.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
for
and
sure.
They're doing a lot more work than we are as well.
Absolutely. Well, let's take you inside the indoor batting cage right now. Eric Thames was working on his swing, and most players will do this either before BP or they will do it after BP before the game, and they're just working on, you know, some fundamental mechanical things here.
And again, you see Jason Lane, he's really close. You can't really, you know, get the same type of velocity that you're going to see in a game, so they get real close. You know, if a pitch is not where it's supposed to be, you take it. You're talking about your fast twitch muscles as far as your swing goes, and you're not taking a lot of stride. You're just trying to throw your hands at the baseball. You're trying to hit it where it's pitched. You try and drive the ball to the opposite field if it's away, and it kind of speeds everything up. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of time, even in a game when you're 60 feet 6 inches, but when you're that close, I mean, you have to make a decision very quickly whether you're going to swing, when you're going to swing. And, you know, it's one of those things that it's an opportunity to get ready. You see Thames right there going, hitting one to the opposite field. So, you know, it's just one of the many drills that take place. They also have machines in there that can you know, give you a sense of what your bat speed is, you know, the trajectory of the balls that you're hitting. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Yep, there is, and this has really evolved probably over the last 5 years or so. They didn't even have all ballparks didn't even have an indoor batting cage, and if they did, it was a single cage. Now they've got the double cage, and then they've got all their video in place as well for that. So a lot of things keeping up with times, innovative technology, and then once all that's through, they got to come out on the field and they got to do their thing. So we've gone over a few things that you will now find out about once this batting practice does get underway here in a few moments. But we had an opportunity a few minutes ago to catch up with Ben Gamble to find out what his routine is like on game day. Let's take a listen.
I usually get here around 1:45 or 2. Like to eat right when I get to the field. Usually he makes me a cheeseburger or something, and get loose in the weight room and go get in the cage.
So then what do you like, how much weight room stuff do you guys do prior?
It depends on the day. If I'm working out, I'm generally in there a little longer, but you know, I'm usually in there every day regardless to, you know, roll out and get the body ready to play.
So next would be the indoor hitting cage?
Yeah, hit, you know, I usually hit for, you know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes in the indoor cage, and, you know, just work on stuff, and then, you know, obviously at BP, and that's on the field, and, you know, just trying to hone stuff in.
Ben, how much time do you spend on looking at video, looking at your swing, looking at opposing pitcher?
Well, I think it kind of depends who's on the mound. If it's a guy I've had, you know, 25, 30 at-bats off of, you know, I'll generally just kind of get a refresher on how he pitches me. But if, you know, it's a guy I've never seen, I'll, you know, watch a couple innings of him pitch, see how he's pitching guys and stuff like that.
So when you actually get out then to the field for BP, what's your routine like once you step into the cage? What are those steps you guys take in your routine?
You know, I'm just trying to, you know, feel good. You know, whatever I can do to make my swing feel good is generally what I'm trying to do during BP, and then obviously get, you know, on the defensive side, try and get balls off the bat, you know, play stuff live, stuff like that.
Do you guys go through a hitting process? Do you lay a few bunts down first? Do you take some swings the other way?
No real process. I mean, first round every once in a while, lay down some bunts and stuff like that, but not like any process or anything. More so just trying to focus on, you know, taking good swings and stuff like that.
All right, that's Ben Gamble, and this is Ben Gamble now here live inside Miller Park, and about 3:15 is a session of time called early BP, where guys can come out, voluntarily and work on their swing. And certainly a guy like Ben Gamble, who's not an everyday starter, even though it almost seems like he is sometimes, is definitely one of those guys coming in early to do this.
Yeah, and they do this on the road as well. I mean, there will be early batting practice. You know, the Brewers are going to be going to Cincinnati, so, 2 o'clock, 2:30, they're going to have some early batting practice on a visiting stadium. So, the guys come out, they work on different things. I know Ben Gamble was saying there's really no process, but, he will take into the batting cage, particularly early batting practice and under the cage, under the stadium in the cage there, something that happened in the game yesterday that he felt like he didn't execute all that well. Maybe he rolled over on a pitch away, so he's going to start working on hitting the ball to the opposite field. Now, Gamble's one of those guys that has been so good this year. His at-bats have been terrific. He's been really good in that number 9 spot once Craig Counsell has flipped the pitcher into the number 8 spot. But he's got a good eye at the plate. He goes to the opposite field. He hits lefties extremely well. And if you're feeling good at the plate, there is that thing that says, you don't need to take a lot of swings in the batting cage. Ryan Braun is a big proponent of that. So if he's feeling good, he's going to forego hitting in the cage under the stadium, because as you get a little bit older, I mean, those swings do add up. So you want to keep yourself strong. A lot of teams are going away from batting practice on the field, or they have a very much of an abbreviated batting practice on the field. We've seen that a lot when the Brewers are on the road. St. Louis, San Diego, they may be taking batting practice maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then the cage in the field is empty, and the Brewers are waiting around. This is all about timing. They will not start 1 minute before they're supposed to start.
Right.
That's the way it goes around here. So, each group will, have 3 or 4 groups. You'll have, each group will have their 15 minutes. And, once that 15 minutes is up, they're all done. And keep this in mind, kids, the big leaguers, when they're done taking batting practice, they all pick up the baseballs.
There you go.
You got to pick up the baseball. Now, Ryan Braun picks up the baseballs. You don't just go on in there and hang out in the clubhouse and grab a glove and go shag in the outfield. Pick up the balls in the cage. That is an unwritten rule in baseball. And, everybody does it, even Christian Yelich.
I'm so glad you said that. I don't know how many baseballs that we picked up in our day, coaching our little league kids and stuff, but you got to pick up the balls, kids, and get back in there. It's called restocking.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Well, we're almost getting set here to start the fireworks, and these are going to be bigger fireworks than the fireworks down at Summerfest tonight. You do realize that, don't you?
It starts today, right?
It does start today,
right?
Indeed. Let's break down a little bit as we're just getting going here. We've got our 3 All-Stars, our candidates to be starters. Of course, Christian Yelich, Mike Moustakas,
Look at Moose hitting right-handed. Do you see that swing hitting right-handed? Come on.
So see, he's really wants to get in the vote now. He's
that's
all
impressive.
Of a sudden becoming a switch hitter.
I mean, he is a left-handed hitter, isn't he?
Yes, he
look
is.
at these swings.
See, now this is what you wouldn't get every day unless you tuned in to Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Yeah, so Eddie jams him a little bit with an inside fastball. But check out this. Moose is not a switch hitter. Look at the line drives he's hitting. Tell me these guys aren't talented.
Look at that. Now here's another thing that goes on. The Seattle Mariners pitchers were down there starting to get stretched out and do their workout.
Right.
So the other team is on the field at times.
Yeah, and they have to keep one eye on the batting cage because these guys, they whistle these balls down the lines. You got to keep your eyes open. And even in batting practice, there's going to be the infielders are going to be taking infield, or they're going to be taking ground balls. The outfielders are going to be working on their jumps, balls off the bat. There are balls flying all over the place. You got coaches hitting ground balls to the infielders. The infielders throwing to second, throwing to first. It's like it's organized chaos out there. But every team does it. Every team basically does it the same way. You see Carlos Sabero, hitting ground balls to shortstop. The shortstop, Arce will throw over to first. And it's a routine that they go over every single day.
Now, on the bottom of the screen, you can see Group 1 and 4 names on there. Tell everybody how batting practice is organized, because it's highly organized. These guys know when they're going to hit, and they do it in groups of 4 players.
Well, and again, normally it's the top of the order, and the catcher of the day is going to be in the first group. So today, Manny Pena is behind home plate. He's going to be catching Adrian Hauser, and the reason that he is in the first group, no matter where he is hitting in the batting order, because after he hits, he goes into the clubhouse. They go into the conference room, and they have a meeting with the pitcher of the day talking about scouting reports. So they give the catcher a little bit of an opportunity to get his batting practice in. You can see Manny Pena dropping down some bunts. Normally what they'll do, they'll drop down a couple of bunts, they'll do a hit and run, they'll do a squeeze, and then the guys will be working on whatever it is they want to work on.
So how many swings will each player take, and what's the number of rotations they'll go through? Because they don't all just hit at one time and leave.
Right. I mean, there's that group of 4. They're going to hit for about 15 minutes. They'll take 10 swings, and then what they do is they go out of the batting cage and then they'll run the bases. They'll very, very easily run the bases, try to get jumps off of first, take their turns around second base, and then they take their lead off at third and try to get a good jump. They'll take their crow hops, get a good jump on a ground ball, and work on those types of things, scoring, getting a good jump on a ground ball. In the game, we see Christian Yelich do that all the time in the game. He gets a good lead at third, takes a couple of crow hops, and as soon as that ball is on the ground ball, he is off and running to home plate.
All right, so the Brewers enter tonight's play, Game 2 of their series against the Mariners. This is Brewers Live, a special edition of batting practice. And Rock, I'm going to send you out to find Andy Haynes, because he is mic'd up and he's going to spend
he's behind the cage.
A few minutes with us at the cage. So you can break away and go talk to him, and we'll catch up with you in just a second here as we watch the Group 1 of Christian Yelich and Mike Moustakas there, of course, in line for your vote to become All-Stars. You can go to brewers.com/vote for that. The voting ends tomorrow afternoon. It just started here this morning as we continue our coverage of Brewers Live batting practice. And Rock is behind the cage now with hitting coach Andy Haynes, who spends a lot of time on his step platform and he continues to break down each player here. So, Rock, we're going to send it over to you right now.
All right, Craig, thanks a lot. And we're here with Andy Haynes, Brewers hitting coach. And Andy, this is a big, important part of your day. I mean, you have a lot of the book work that you guys do. Talk about the process. I mean, as a general group, what you try to accomplish early on in batting practice.
Yeah, it is. It's a group activity, but we talk about it's very individualized. We don't want to box them in. So everybody has something they want to feel to get ready to play a game tonight, with their body, with their swing. Everybody's individualized, but it is a group activity, so we're kind of threading the needle there, what we want to accomplish. So we don't really box them in force them to do certain things in their rounds. Everybody's a little different. Like Bronny knows what he wants to do with his body and his bat path. Like right here is really trying to create space with his upper body. If he stays taller with his upper body, can release the barrel and he gets the ball in the air the right way. If he gets hunched over, it really doesn't happen. He kind of gets stuck. So you can see him kind of arch his back, and he's just trying to get his body to cooperate and get that move every day.
Yeah, so right now he's really swinging the bat well, right, in the game.
Yeah,
and what are some of the buzzwords or some of the things you remind Bronny of when he's
especially against lefties in his career, he's done a really good job of that. So he hasn't to this point till the last couple lefties we faced. San Diego, he started feeling we talked about his upper body, just creating a little more space up here. Frees his barrel to have a better path and get to more pitches in the zone. And righties, too, the guys that try to sink the ball on him, kind of get in the bottom of the ball because he can do his damage. He's still got power. And so every day he's trying to create that. So it's really just space with his upper half.
Yeah, we were watching yesterday that inning where you guys had 3 or 4 hits, and we were commenting how level the swings were in that inning. You remember that inning where, just beautiful swings. Mike Moustakas was part of that, and he really does have a nice path through the strike zone with his bat. Very consistent, stays on the ball. And what are some of the things that he keeps in mind when he's up there at the plate?
Yeah, so with Mike, we kind of just really being the best version of him, what he did in Kansas City 2 years ago. 38 home runs, really high OPS, really productive. And then last year, you look at, held his own, but really didn't do what everybody knew he could do. It's really about, he had some timing issues. He's a guy that makes a big move forward. So he's always done that. He's kind of made a big advance forward. Looks like he drifts, but when he's good, he's in his back leg, and he stays in that back leg as he moves forward, so he's still behind the ball. So long story long on that, he's back to elite performance on the fastball, and he can use the whole field when he's really good too. So a lot of times you see him use the whole field on the fastball when they hang off speed in the zone. That's when he does his damage. So people as a group have talked about the home runs we've hit, but really the message is the pitchers, they're going to throw the homers. We're not trying to hit them. They throw it in the right place. You put an ace swing on as a major league player, usually you've got a chance to do some damage.
Speaking of an ace swing, the guy in the batting cage right now, I mean, if you were to do a hitting video to a bunch of little leaguers, this would be kind of what you would throw out there, isn't it?
It is. You hit the nail on the head. It's something to watch every day. we could talk a long time about it, but he uses the ground as well as anybody I've ever seen. Because you look at him, not physically imposing, but just how far he can hit the ball and how often he can do it. Doesn't use his upper half to get power. So when he's going good, like you can see this move he makes initially, gets in his back leg, rides it out, and his upper body stays really square. You know, he's not trying to create any power with the upper half. He's just in the ground, and he stays there as he moves forward, and then it's handsy. Doesn't look for help up top, I call it. And if you see him get off a little bit, you'll see him in the games. His upper half's pretty involved. And then he's obviously more pitchable, and you'll see some balls get on the ground a little more often. But he's usually pretty good. Doesn't stay like that very long. He can get right back on track, and that's what he's trying to do every day in BP. He'll launch balls in the upper deck, but that's really not his goal. It's to stay square with his upper body and let that move forward, and how well he uses the ground. That's how he creates his power.
It's amazing the triggering mechanism these days. Seems like with Paul Molitor, it was like a little bit of a knee. He turned the knee in a little bit, and he's held the hands really still. A lot of these guys are holding the hands really still, as opposed to the old days. They bring the hands back, but it's all about that front foot, isn't it?
It is. I mean, there's a lot of things at stake now. Like, the parks playing now are more conducive to getting the ball in the air and taking more chances because the balls just go out of the park more frequently. So, back in the day, even the day when I was growing up in the 80s, a lot of those fly balls were outs, man. They were just dead. And now you get the ball up there with some authority, it's got a chance to leave almost every park you play in. Even San Diego, we just left, considered a pitcher's park. But compared to back in the day, I'm sure a lot of guys would say it's a hitter's park.
So on the coach's side, I mean, I saw you out here early batting practice throwing to some guys. That was early. So how many swings on average do you think these guys take a day? I mean, before the game even starts.
Yeah. The short answer is too many.
Sometimes you can overswing, right, if you're feeling good at the plate?
No question. I mean, a lot of times if you're mentally fresh for the game and, you have a good game plan, you're swinging good pitches as a major league player, you're going to have a good night. And the easy thing for them to do, all of us, is go to the swing, to the mechanics of the swing, when realistically it's about organizing your strike zone, having a plan, sticking to it. You're going to be in good shape. But, it's the nature of these kids, how they grow up, and they are very diligent. But early on, the routine was, they went to the cage. We did some things as far as their routine. They came on the field, can see the ball fly. They get very good feedback. My favorite thing to do as a hitting coach is just one-on-one out here in the field, because you honestly don't need to instruct a lot. Right. The ball is not going to lie to them, and they can self-correct by ball flight, and they're gonna kind of see what the ball's doing. I call it external feedback. It's nothing internal about swing. It's more about the external thing of what's happening, and they can kind of correct some things without a ton of instruction. That's where you really make hay as a player, right? When you can feel it yourself, you don't have to lean on somebody so much.
So how important is it for a guy like Christian Yelich to hit the ball well in batting practice? Or is it just basically just get loose, kind of go through your routine? And do these guys have the same routine just about every day?
Well, the first part of your question, there's been a lot of research and study over the years on BP and how effective is it to really play a major league game. I've kind of came to the conclusion it serves two purposes. Kind of once a major league player knows his body like these guys and what they want to do, it's like getting your body to cooperate and make some moves you want it to make. And then you're out here with the guys. It's camaraderie. I think that's the two purposes it has to really benefit it. A lot of times before the game, guys will do machine right before the game. Just from getting your nervous system fired up and your eyes of what the velocity is going to be in a game. That's probably more game prep. This is more, like I said, camaraderie with the fellas. You're in a big league stadium with the music, and then you are getting your body doing some things and cues that you want to accomplish that day. But the real moneymaker for me is pregame, when you can get the machine going, or I throw it to them from a short distance, and then they kind of really, you can see them get amped up and they're a different mindset. And some of them are like, right before the game. I mean, they literally go from the cage out here because as a hitting coach, I'm scrambling to get out here for the game. So the home games are easier because sometimes I make it out if there's 1 or 2 outs because I'm literally picking up balls in the cage. That's how soon they take it to the game.
How important is, I know the answer to this question because I was one of those guys that doesn't play all the time. We're talking about Manny Pena. He's in the lineup today. How important is his pregame routine as far as in the cage is that for him? And it's probably, and I know for me, it was a lot bit more important for me to feel good in batting practice than it was for Robin Yount.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, sometimes it's more challenging than you think. It's easy to gravitate towards the guys doing well. It's easier for me to hang out with Moose and Yelly and Braun and Grandal. But the guys that need your most attention are Hernan Perez and Manny Pena and Aguilar, Shaw, who's scuffling. Those are the guys that need your attention. And I talked to Counts about it. I mean, even Counts as a manager, those are the guys that need you to love on them and need your attention. So we try to communicate about that every day, and I do try to spend extra time with those guys every day because a lot of times, as you know, you're counting on your big boys to do what they do, but sometimes your biggest hits of a season are from somebody you don't expect.
Right.
They have a big at-bat in a big spot, somebody you're counting on, and like we told Manny, he has been swinging the bat so well right-handed that, it's hurt his playing time a little bit, but, something good's going to happen for him in the second half, and everybody's going to say, oh, that's great, but the work he's doing in May and June to stay ready is what will make that happen.
Right. Just to keep that confidence going. Yeah.
Yep.
Do certain guys like to take batting practice? How do you design who hits in what group? I know how the catcher works.
Yeah, no, good question. So we do it based on the lineup. So the big boys here, the first 4 guys in the lineup hit in group 1, and then the second group of 4 hit in group 2. Mm-hmm. So there's your 8 starters. And then the extra guys hit in the last group. So then it might change. Like we have Eddie Cedar here throwing group 1. Carlos usually throws group 2, but if we're facing a lefty, then a lot of times Jason Lane, our lefty BP guy, will throw to the guys that want to face a lefty. And that's kind of fickle because if a guy's hot, he's not going to change his routine.
Right.
So that's when we're scrambling to kind of please them all, which is sometimes hard of who they want to face and what group they want to hit in. And then you have the defensive side of it that goes unnoticed. A lot of guys outfield play, infielders get a lot of work defensively during BP too, when they're not hitting during that group.
Getting reads off the ball.
Yeah, no doubt.
So in watching Christian here, it's interesting because sitting back here, you can see he lifts his leg up. He actually drifts toward the plate, but then he brings it back over.
He does.
I mean, that's a complicated move.
It is. When he's going really good, like that's the ball flight you want right there. How true it is, and he starts early too. That's a big mechanism for him just to get started on time, and that's something really he's evolved. I've seen him since he's 17 years old.
Yeah.
And when he came in at 17, he was straight up in the air, great hands, could flip the ball around, not a lot of power, but could really, really hit. And then as he's grown up, he's naturally learned getting his legs. We talked about earlier, using the ground, and then starting early allows him to, his contact point went from back here to literally he can catch a ball up front, and that's how he's gotten to his power. It's just contact point and starting sooner, really. And that comes with experience. As you know, like the more at-bats you get, you learn yourself more and more. There's Bronny's power. I'm not sure people recognize how much power is still left in there.
I mean,
man.
He's got leverage. He's got the big, long bat. He stands tall. I mean, he hasn't changed that batting stance since Little League.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, how many guys can do that? I mean, the guys as they get older are going to change their batting stance, right?
Yeah. Bench coach.
Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale. Yeah.
Bench coach slash life coach, Pat Murphy.
How come Murph doesn't throw BP?
Murph?
BP cuts badly.
Is cut?
Kind of like Eddie's does.
Murph has been king of the castle a long time.
There you go.
Doesn't know it.
You're above that, huh, Murph?
Yeah.
Good.
He's been king of the castle a long time, and.
Well, we appreciate it, Andy. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Good job. Good luck tonight.
Yeah.
And I know that was invaluable stuff for our people back at home.
Great stuff, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
appreciate it. Thanks, Murph. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You added to it. Good job.
All right, so Rock talking with Andy Haynes. Pat Murphy came over. Pat Murphy's very social, of course, and if you've watched any of our coverage, you know that he and Ed Cedar have some of the biggest lungs in the coaching business, and we're going to bring Mike Moustakas over right now to talk a little BP. And Moose, good to see you, man. Yep, it is. You can just stand right here next to me and rock here and hold your own microphone and be part of our broadcast team here. So we're on for a full hour doing live batting practice, showing everybody a little inside look at what you guys go through. Tell us a little bit about and let your fans know what's your typical day like here. So it's a Wednesday. You know, you guys want to get a win tonight against the Mariners. What has your day been like so far?
Yeah, so I mean, normal 7 o'clock game. We all get here around 1 o'clock for the most part. Start working out, getting the body loose for BP. Get in the cage around 3 o'clock, 3:30. Then come out here, do some early defense, and then now we got BP. So it's a long day before the game, and then you get it going. And 7 o'clock, can't wait till 7 o'clock gets around.
Well, you're a seasoned veteran now. Does it take you longer to get ready or shorter to get ready now?
During these games, 7 o'clock games, longer day games, I just show up and roll it out there and hope for the best. You know, the body's not going to get too loose at 1 o'clock, so we're just going to roll out there, get in the hot tub a couple minutes, and then see what happens.
Do you have a lucky meal that you kind of like go with? I know there's guys that, you know, they're superstitious baseball players.
Yeah.
Do you have a pregame meal routine you go through?
Not really. Whatever's in the kitchen, I'll grab some. I try not to.
Stuff in it,
is. They do a great job here. I try not to eat too much before the game. Just 9 innings, 3.5, 4 hours of your food sitting on you. So maybe it's like a little protein bar or shake that our trainers make. It's pretty solid. But you know, if I'm not feeling good, I'll grab a grilled cheese and you know, hope for the best.
You got to stay strong, man. You got to get the protein. But when you get in the batting cage here in the field, is what do you try to accomplish? I mean, is it more like you're working on something maybe that you didn't feel good about the night before, or just getting loose?
You know, when I was younger, it was I used to do that. I used to work a lot in the cage on doing certain things, and now I've been playing professional baseball for 12 years, and I got a routine. My first round is trying to hit line drives over at the shortstop. You know, get loose, get the hands loose, make sure they're working the right way, and then you know, after that, hit some center, start pulling some balls, and then the best part about my BP is sitting there watching Yelly hit his BP. It's incredible watching him go on the third deck up there at ease. So.
Well, the three of you, I mean, you and Braun and Yelich, I mean, I think they run out of balls at some point.
We have a good group. It's fun, especially when Bronny and Yelly start going at each other. They just pump each other up, and I just get to sit there and watch them do it, and then they just start hitting some bombs. It's awesome.
When does BP turn into a competition of some kind, whether it's home runs we're talking about, or what other kind of contest do you do to keep things loose?
You know, Andy brought a game in this year. It's like a doubles, balls in the gap, and he was always the judge, and somehow every ball that you hit, somebody caught it, and it was a point-based system, and it was a lot of fun during spring training. We do it, but you know, it's usually when Bronny's feeling good, he'll put some bets out there and start hitting some homers. So whenever he's feeling good, it's kind of when the games start.
You got the leader that way. Let me ask you a little bit about the All-Star vote, the second round, the push to be a starter. Started earlier today, and it only runs for 28 hours. You're in that group over at second base. Yaz at catcher, of course, and Yelly in that outfield right now. So it's you three. If you get enough votes, you guys are going to end up being starters. First of all, what would that mean for you at second base, your new position this year, and you put up some monster numbers?
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool, obviously. Anytime you're mentioned to go to an All-Star game is obviously an accomplishment, and you know, to be in the final three of the starters is obviously amazing. But to be there and go and start as a second baseman my first year playing second be pretty cool. I mean, it'd be a testament to the work that I've put in, but also the work that the coaches put in with me. You know, the guys that were out there in spring training early, hitting me ground balls, Carlos, Murph, Counts, all these guys taking their time. Even the guys in the minor leagues that come out there early with me, you know, helping me turn double plays and all that stuff and get me in a good spot. So I think it'd be awesome to you know, do that for those guys as well.
Yep, and you can go, fans, to Brewers.com/vote for Moose, Yasmani Grandal, Christian Yelich. This voting is going to end tomorrow afternoon, so it's a 28-hour push here to see the top three, who's going to be a starter here today. And I know you've got to take a lot of satisfaction, too, and you talked about your hard work. Putting up numbers like you have at a new position while learning that position, that takes something for sure.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun challenge. I've enjoyed it a lot. I mean, obviously, I've been playing third in the big leagues for 8 years now and never really played anywhere else other than first base a couple times. And for David and Counts and Murph and all these guys to have the confidence that I can come in and play second base, just gave me confidence in the ability to go over there and do it. And there's some rough times early in spring training, and I made some plays that probably shouldn't have been made, but it was all a learning experience, and I've been able to learn from all those things, and it's just been a lot of fun. It's been a cool challenge.
Got to be satisfying being back with the Brewers. We talk about it all the time up here. It's like you never left. I mean, you were here last year. You were hanging out with the guys in the offseason, the California Strong, and then you signed back here. How gratifying is it to be back with your old teammates again?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like you said, it feels like I never left. As soon as I got traded over here, I knew I was going to love it here. I knew I was going to have a great time. I knew my family was going to have a great time here, and this organization's been nothing but amazing for me and my family. And to be able to come back here and have a quest at another championship and get back to the postseason is awesome, especially with this group and the guys that we have. It's just a lot of fun to be here.
Well, Moose, I just want to ask you one question before you go. Your team in the middle of a tight race right now in the National League Central. I don't know if anybody expected it to be as tight as it is right now. People on the outside, your fans, look at this team and say, get some guys going offensively, get some pitching going as well. Give them the mood of where this team is right now. I mean, entering today, you guys are only a game out of first place.
Yeah, it's no surprise to anybody. We haven't been playing great baseball, but we keep coming to the field and battling, and that's the best thing about this team is we're never going to give up. We're never going to quit until every out's made. And the clubhouse is awesome. We don't ever lose confidence. You got 162 games. When I was in Kansas City, Ned would tell me we're going to win 50, we're going to lose 50. It's what you do with those other 62. So having that being said, obviously we want to go out and win every game. It's just not realistic. But we feel great about where we're at. We know some of these boys are going to come around and get things rolling, and we can't wait for that to happen. And obviously with what Yaz and Yelly are doing this year, it's incredible to watch.
Well, Moose, I really appreciate your time coming over here during our batting practice show, and good luck tonight, okay?
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Mike Moustakas.
Awesome.
Remember, fans, you can vote for Mike Moustakas, Yasmani Grandal, and Kristen Yelich. Go to brewers.com/vote. The push to get these guys in to be starters, they need your vote to do it. They're in the top 3 at their position, and deservedly so.
Did you vote?
That's for sure. Yep, I used both of my email accounts and voted.
Right. I voted.
And speaking of the vote, guys been there before. Ryan Braun now joins us here during our batting practice show, and you're gonna get to hold your own mic, my friend. You be part of our broadcast team now.
Now you're doing some launching in BP today. I mean, you've been swinging the bat really well for a while now. So how important is BP to you?
I'm very routine oriented. So the biggest thing is just going through my routine every day, trying to get my swing in the optimal position to be successful. My BP is still really good. It doesn't always translate to the games, but the more consistent I am in my batting practice, I think more encouraged I am that eventually we'll see more and more results in the games.
What amazes everybody about you, Ryan, is that you have had the same batting stance since Little League, right? I mean,
pretty much, yeah.
You're getting a little bit older, right? I mean, let's be honest. So, I mean, most of the time.
It's fair.
Most of the
You're
time.
one of the only guys that's older than me here, so you can say that.
Oldest guy on a traveling party, basically. But anyway, so a lot of guys are going to change their approach as they get a little bit older. You have not done that. And why would that be?
I always try to make subtle adjustments. I've never made any drastic changes, mostly because I haven't felt like I needed to. I've obviously been pretty successful in doing what I do, and the game itself is so difficult, it's so challenging that if I was to try to do something drastically different, I run the risk of being a lot worse as a hitter. So I think if I really struggled or felt the need to, I would, but because I've always been relatively successful, it's more about making subtle adjustments because I think that's the easiest thing to do on a day-to-day basis throughout the course of the season.
Ryan, I just want to ask you this, since we're on the air specifically to give Brewer fans an idea of what you guys go through at this point, because the stands aren't open yet. What's a day like for you when you get to the ballpark? Can you kind of just run us through what you like to do when you get here, and maybe even what your pregame meal is, if you have one go-to or anything like that?
Sure, yeah. I think everybody's routine's a little bit different, but I think at some point we all do have a routine. For me, typically, if it's a 7 o'clock game, I usually get to the ballpark around 1 o'clock. I'll eat lunch here. I've eaten healthier and healthier as I've gotten older, so I'll do a lot of salmon and vegetables typically for lunch. I'll usually get some type of treatment depending on what I have going on physically. Spend some time doing contrast where you go hot tub, cold tub, back and forth, try to get the body going a little bit. Then I have a pretty consistent stretch and core activation, core stability routine I'll do in the weight room every day. I usually get a full body workout in the first day of every series. I don't lift too heavy, but enough to try to maintain my strength. I've never been too big, so I feel like if I don't maintain my strength, I'll start to feel weak throughout the course of a season. Then we'll come out, we'll take batting practice. Usually once or twice a series, I'll get out, get some fly balls or ground balls in the outfield. And then before the game, I'd say probably every other game, I'll get in the cage and I have a soft toss and tee routine that I'll do. And then we'll go over scouting reports. I'll watch some video of the opposing pitcher if I've faced him, watch what he's done recently as he's faced similar hitters. And that's kind of the daily routine.
Then the game starts.
Yeah, and then the game starts. So, at some point when the game starts, you just want to play, but all of that stuff is about trying to put yourself in the optimal position where you feel prepared for that day's game.
Yeah. What do you try to accomplish in the batting cage on the field? I know there's a lot of different elements underneath the stadium, but what do you try to accomplish when you're out here?
Yeah, the first round or two, it's just about feeling my hands, allowing my hands to work. I try to minimize how much I use my body in my swing. And then after that, it's just trying to hit line drives consistently, kind of all over the ballpark. So I think every day is a little bit different, but the biggest thing is just trying to really feel like my hands are working and I'm hitting the ball where it's pitched.
You had some big boys with you in that first group today. Yelly and Moose and yourself. You were launching some baseballs. Do you kind of get into little competition in that regard? Does that just stuff happen?
Oh, I'll dominate these guys in BP still. You can ask them; they'll tell you. I'll dominate everybody here in BP. They know that. It doesn't translate to the game as often anymore, but in BP competition, I'll win 90% of the time.
All three of you were just launching today. Do you try and do that, or is that just a result of a good swing?
Some days you do. I think more often than not, it's the result of a good swing. Both those guys are such great hitters, have so much power. It comes pretty easily to both of them, so I'd say more often than not, you'll see those guys hit a lot of home runs.
Ryan, appreciate it, man. Really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us and giving our fans an inside view of what's happening.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys having me, man.
Right, you got it. That's Ryan Braun.
Thanks, gentlemen. You got it.
His batting practice done now, and joins us for a few minutes, and talk to Mike Moustakas as well.
That was a treat.
That was a treat. It was.
Nice.
He was sticking around. Here comes a bigger treat, though. Here's Eddie Cedar.
Now, this is the other side of batting practice, the BP thrower.
So Eddie, you get a mic here, except you're wrapping yourself in your mic. Here, you get to hold your own mic. You're on the broadcast for a few moments.
Check
1 2. Check 1 2. It's working.
Should I go right to my commercial?
Go ahead. What do you got?
Are we live right now?
Yeah, we're live.
I'm gonna go. Hey, everyone out there. Oh, yep, that's where you're pointing at where I'm supposed to look. August 24th, 1:30, Miller Park. We're doing the Hitting for the Cycle bike ride. Come out and join everyone. We'll have a blast. I had to do that, but go ahead. Let's get back to the show.
You have a bike?
I have a bike, yeah. And we have the Hitting for the Cycle. Christian plugged it last year, came on this year and said, it isn't that hard to do.
Just got to give me a little note.
You missed that plug. You missed that plug, Hitting for the Cycle. Yeah. You missed it, Rock.
Well, it's a good thing we have you on here because you can give those plugs and you can help straighten this guy out for sure.
Tell us your routine. I mean, we talked to a couple of players and they told us what they do when they get to the ballpark. So you a coach, obviously. And what kind of things do you do in preparing for a new series?
For a new series, we'll come in. You'll get your sheets, all of our information we need from our analytical, from our scouting departments, from people that can help us almost anywhere. And we look over that, look at videos, go through our meetings. Then we come out and do a little early work if there's early work that day. Get ready to throw batting practice. A lot of us, well, not many of us, but 2 or 3 of us throw every day, so that gets kind of hectic. After throwing batting practice, players will finish their routines, and then we'll go inside and have a real big meeting, actually, to go over every pitcher. Here's a couple of friends of mine right now.
Yeah, friends of the show. Mark Antonazio, David Stearns.
Come on in.
How are you? Look at this. We got party crashers
here in town.
Yeah, Mark, come right in the middle here.
Yeah, let's go, David. So what's the best place to eat here, David? Putting you on the spot. spot.
That is on the spot. That is on the spot. How about Miller Park? We have a wonderful food selection.
Yeah, Chef Seth would like that. Yes, he would.
Very good, Mark. And when you arrive, where's the first place you go to? I'm calling it's going to be here.
Yeah, I come here.
See, that was easy. All right, this is kind of hard. Do I get anything to read?
We thought if we brought the president of baseball operations out, get some understanding of when you make that decision to wave a guy home from third or not. When do you make the decision? David wants to know.
Well, it's usually people really don't watch this because they're watching maybe the hitter or something on going in between. It's the coin toss. I flip the coin, and then that's what we go, and then we got to hope for a hit, and that's what I go with. Analytics, they tell me if it comes up heads 3 times, you're sending them.
A lot of work has gone into it.
No, we were just going over our reports. Like I said, we get reports from the scouting, from analytical about who throws well moving left or right, how deep the cutoff men are, and then sometimes it's just by instincts or knowing that I got to take a chance at right then, and then we do it.
All right, now I want to ask David, what do you think Mark would like to ask our third base coach? Because he asked a question for you.
I'll let Mark ask his own question. Mark's got all the questions. That's probably.
Mark's got all the questions.
Go ahead. You got a good one, Mark.
No, I think you're doing a great job. I noticed one of the other coaches, the other teams, they won't say who, waved a guy home the other night and wasn't down the line the way you are and was criticized for not, really being active. And you're as active a third base coach as I've seen in Major League Baseball. And
yeah, it's kind of weird because when you see the photos of me sending something, I never realized I do this, but Marcia, my wife, goes, if you look at the photos, you are screaming. What are you screaming at them? And I'm usually like, get going, or whatever. So you never just see me go like that. I'm always kind of screaming out there.
Yeah, so there aren't any 4-letter words involved?
No 4-letter words, no. Get going. That's probably about the extent of it. Don't ask the players.
That's up in the owners and the GM suite. That's
yes,
where that
yes.
But what for you, David, is the most important part of batting practice? For the as a club perspective.
Well, I think each constituency that's out here has a different goal. The players obviously want to get loose, want to get ready for the game. Coaches, especially hitting coach Andy Hain, our assistant hitting coach Jason Lane, want to make sure that they're connecting with each player, communicating the game plan. To the extent the game plan needs to be individualized for each player, communicate that individual plan. For me, for Matt Arnold, for members of our front office, it's a great time just to connect in an informal way with our coaching staff, with some of our players, with media. And so it's a generally a pretty relaxed atmosphere, good time to chat and just make sure that everyone's on the same page.
And answer questions of the TV guys about what's been going on, right?
Well, absolutely.
Now, there seems to be a trend in baseball, and Mark, you can respond to this too. We go around the league, and a lot of teams aren't really dedicating a lot of time for batting practice on the field, and they're doing most of their work under the cages. Do you see that as a major trend in baseball?
So I think there are probably a couple reasons for that. The first is the more we learn about how the body functions, the more we learn about the grind that these guys go through. Frankly, it's on us to pull them off the field. These guys want to work an incredible amount. Right. They want to constantly be out here. They want to take as many swings as possible. And it's on us to have mandatory days off, optional days that get them inside, off their feet, and ready and energized to play. The second part about it is we have a lot of technology underneath in the cage that maybe we don't have out here or can't have out here. So whether it's certain cameras, certain sensors, certain pitch machines that are easier to use in there out here. And I think a lot of teams are doing something similar.
I want to ask Mark, we're doing this 60-minute live show, BP, before you became an owner and then when you took over this franchise. What have you learned? What's been the camaraderie like? Baseball is such a loose, everyday sport. What have you learned about your teams over the years, just during BP alone?
Well, I think it's a time as David was saying, everybody's relaxed, and so you can have a relaxed conversation, and maybe sometimes bring up a topic that's a little more delicate in a relaxed setting, and it's okay to do that. I'll echo what David said. And, I got here, I landed at 2:15, I headed right to the ballpark. I have an office that overlooks the park, and 2:45 guys are on the field.
Oh, yeah.
That's, what is that? That's 4.5 hours before game time. So there's a lot of work in preparation in terms of getting mentally prepared. And I also, by the way, one of the big surprises to me when I bought the team was all the families and little kids. Game's over 10:30, 10:45. They're all waiting to see their dad, and it really affects the workday affects the family different than. At least my family, my parents had to be in bed at 8 o'clock. I don't know.
Hey, this is for Eddie and David. I mean, do you guys ever lock the batting cage? You guys come maybe a day game or something and they say nobody's hitting, nobody's doing anything. Has that ever happened?
I think it's certainly in spring training it does. I know Counts will have days where he will do his best to keep guys, first of all, get guys to come in here a little bit later, keep guys out of the cage. If you're going to talk to Eric Thames, he may have a good story from his past about breaking into a batting cage at some point in his past.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, players are creatures of habit, and a lot of them are very routine oriented, which we want. But we also need to save them from themselves occasionally and make sure that they're able to get through a full 162 games.
Yeah, David hit it on the nose. There's days where we'll say clubhouse opens at 2:30, and then, or in spring training, clubhouse doesn't open till 10, and we're waiting for people to come in early because then they got a full towels.
Yeah,
they got a full towels if they're in there before that. So it's kind of a way to, like David says, we got to try and protect them from themselves because they'll be out here doing everything at all hours.
Now, you got a lot of big responsibility. You throw batting practice to the top guys in the batting order. Christian Yelich, you ever hit him with a pitch?
Not yet. Thanks, Rock. All right, that's going to be about it from here.
We're signing off.
That's about it.
Well, we want to thank you guys. Good job. Appreciate you guys coming over. Thanks, man. Awesome. Really good.
Thank you,
good
Mark.
Stuff.
Mark Antonazio,
Great
the
stuff.
Brewers owner, Eddie Cedar, all on the broadcast team, David Stearns. August 24th. We've got it. We've got it, Eddie. Well, that was a treat.
Let me tell you something.
That's a good way to end a show there.
I have been in this organization for a long time. I played here. I've been doing TV for 25 years. These guys are fabulous. I mean, we have a BP show here for an hour. These guys just couldn't wait to come over and help out.
That's right.
David Stearns, Mark Atanasio, you got some of your great players, and we're just very fortunate when we do television for an organization that supports what we do on a daily basis. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it is, and that's one of the reasons why we're here. You pitch the idea. We haven't done this before in the 19 years of Fox Sports here at the ballpark, and they were like, yeah, let's get it done. And what kind of help do you need? And to have these, I like it when the owner and the GM can crash your party and contribute and want to be on. So there's David Stearns and Mark Antonazio, the Brewers principal owner, and want to make sure as well before we say goodbye, at least for now, that you get online and you vote Brewers.com/vote. Voting ends tomorrow at 3 o'clock to get the starters, and the candidates in the final three are your Christian Yelich, Mike Moustakas, and Yasmani Grandal. And these guys all made big gains in the vote to get into that top three. So make sure that you get online. Enter all your emails. I've already done it once.
How many emails?
You only get one vote.
I know, yeah.
Well, you only get one vote per email now. You got 5 going in.
Right.
So I've got 2 that I'm working with right now.
I've got 3 email accounts, so I've already gone through mine and the Google thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, good job, man. We were talking about doing this show, and we were concerned we might not get enough guys to come over. We had...
Well, when they're standing in line, led by the owner and general manager, you're doing good.
They just want to be next to you. That's what it is.
I don't think that's the case.
That was fun.
The former player.
That was fun.
And I think we'll do it again.
I want to thank Andy Haynes, too. Some good insights around the batting cage.
Yep, we had Moose on and Ryan Braun as well. So we're going to leave our coverage here, and we're going to be back in an hour at 6:30 Central Time for Brewers Live pregame to get you set. Brewers and the Mariners coming up here tonight on Fox Sports Wisconsin as the Brew Crew tries to even up the series. See you in just a little bit.